Good.
How have you seen like I haven't because my people have kids, so we talk more about like how our kids, what we're preparing them for, what we're talking, how their college plans are going to go. Like right now, I'm having to switch up, giving my kids more options for college right now because they graduate in like a year and a half, maybe 2 years.
Hmm.
So, have you started to think about like what life looks like for how you're going to explain it to your kid? And one question with you, Bach, like if it keeps going back the way, if it keeps going this way where we have these things, and then how do you see that with your kid? Or the other question was, I haven't been able to ask a lot of people that were younger, if you guys have friends, like are they afraid to have kids? I know that some people have been afraid because of global warming, but do you think it's affected people even more so with where people are now? Do you think people are making those decisions to maybe like pause, or worried about having kids now?
I'll say this, and then this is a well. Hold on. Your first question. How am I going to explain to my kid what's happening today?
Yeah, because like I have the older kids, so they're going through it with me and processing, and we're doing things like they had the normal younger childhood, right? They had
Hmm.
all the play things. They didn't have to go into quarantine and drama and all that. Now they are as teens, they're living through it, and they'll know how to do that if this goes away, which I don't think this is going to go away. I think we'll always be dealing with something like this kind of thing,
Hmm.
but they're I'm at an age where like I'm having to go, let's figure out what you're going to do as like a job, because you can't just go get a job at the car wash and think that's going to work for 16, or because your job might go away. So my kids are learning more about digital businesses and how to do things online and run businesses online and that sort of thing at their age. How are you looking as to how parenting and life goes for your son and your kids? His son, right? Is a son?
Yeah, he has my name,
Like,
baby
because like,
back.
yeah, we love going to theme parks. We love going to concerts. We love musical fests. I've always loved that with my kids. That's not an option right now, obviously, but we love doing things at home. So we have dance parties. We have our own DJ parties where my son puts stuff on. Have you thought about how you're going to adjust to these times with your kid? Like, what does that look like for you?
So
Because you can't go to the theme parks. You can't take them.
no. I mean, right now, just not going to the park so he can swing is like when it first shut down, and I took him to the park down the street, and he wanted to get on the slide. He wanted to get on the swing that he used to, and I said, "No, you can't." He started screaming. I'm like, "No, I mean, I don't know if it registered with him. Now, I haven't taken him there since. Um, I think it's a. I always see scenarios and situations like a teaching moment. I think I've talked about this before on the show, um, and like I said, it's more of a look. The lesson out of this is don't take things for granted. You have you're lucky, you know, for XYZ reasons because yeah, you have a roof over your head and your parents are, doing well and you don't have well, he was born with a heart condition. He had to get heart surgery at 9 months old. So he's already like, look, you got to be careful about certain things. I mean, he's gonna have a normal life, but
That's my kids. I understand it.
yeah. So I think the lesson out of this is look, you can't go about life like it's something that you just have and that you just you're guaranteed um, and I always want them to be aware of where we came from so that he can have that perspective. I mean, I talk about perspective a lot, and that's something that I personally do all the time. And so make sure he understands. Like, look, there's there was a before, and there's an after, or hey, this is how people live over there. Like your family is from Africa. This is how life is. I don't want you to go around and think like, oh yeah, this is how it is, and there's nothing else out there. So I think that it comes down to um, teaching him about life and how things can be different and things can flip, and understand and have the humility and appreciate what what he has,
Yeah. Okay.
but also understand that there's people who don't have that. There are people out there uh, who have more. It's people who have less, and you have to understand that, and you have to embrace that. You know, growing up. As far as your second question about um,
Just if
people
you,
not having kids,
yeah,
more
as a
often.
fear.
I mean, more than before. Um, have you seen Idiocracy?
Mm-mm.
No, Obi.
Hmm.
You
I
know the
know
movie,
which movie.
right?
Yeah. I know which movie you're talking about.
Yeah. So it's basically, um, and I think it shows like people the way the way the movie starts. It's like there's two families. There's, for lack of a better term, there's Bubba who lives in the, like a redneck guy, keeps having kids. And then there's these two parents who both have jobs, and then they're educated and everything, but they only have one kid, or they choose not to have kids, or they have them late because of work, because it costs a lot of money, because they want to maintain their social life and their freedoms, and they just want to take that risk, and global warming, and what if the world goes to shit, and what if, and then they don't end up having kids at all. And so you fast forward, the movie goes, you fast forward like hundreds of years later, and now most people have a low IQ, and then it basically describes what would happen if in that world when people just stuck in front of TV, don't know shit, they can't put squares like cubes in the try to put cubes in a triangle type shit, and the government is crazy, and it's very interesting, but it's like a documentary at this point.
I see. Like I don't have kids, but this is what I've observed from people that do have kids is a lot of people that do have kids now, these days. Their kids have to like grow up like twice or three times as fast than how we grew up.
Yeah.
That
Like
I agree with that.
at the same like age, where like because I'm seeing stuff with like with some of my best friends, like their kids that are like 4 or 5, and they're having the kind of uncomfortable conversations we're having as adults in our 30s.
Yeah.
They're starting to have it with their kids when they're like 6 or 7 or something,
Mhm.
or younger. And I'm just like, and it's not just with this issue that's happening. I've seen because we're in the whole show me society where these parents will record their kids and then they'll upload the video on Facebook to show how progressive they're being, or how open dialogue they're having with their kids.
Right.
And I'm like, it's the yes, I see the approach of having open conversation, but then at the same time when you're having it, it's like now these kids, there's a part of me that just feels like you kind of took something from that kid, like a little bit of innocence, like you kind of you're preparing them for this harsh reality that's about to hit them when they grow up, that they're like they don't really, it's like they don't really get to enjoy that wonderland of childhood anymore, because they have to be aware of people bullying them at school, or don't post these
And
things on social media because you can ruin your life, or watch out if you're in public because some people could kidnap you. There's rapists
there's
out there.
pedophiles. There's all
There's
kinds of
pedophile.
stuff out
There's
there.
this
Word
like
is
there's
shit.
like it's almost like, is the world, I don't know how to like interpret it, is like, is the world that much more dangerous in today's day and age, or is it just because where we see so much of it that we feel like I have to
Yes.
protect them at every angle,
Yeah.
and I gotta infuse it into
I
my
think
youth.
a second because I grew up like we said I grew up a lot of lies, so I grew up with a lot of abuse. I grew up with a lot of the things that you're talking about that you have to warn people of. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have those talks. My parents did not prepare me for sexual abuse. Having I told you I got my legs broken when I was younger, so I
Mm-hmm.
didn't understand that I would have a lot of traumas and different things. I had a lot of run-ins with assault. in different ways because I was not aware of those things. So the world, I saw a very violent world growing up, honestly. So like to me, everyone's like, it's so crazy now. And I'm like, I feel more safe now because I'm older and I can set boundaries and I have all of these things in place that make my world safer that I wasn't aware of as a child, right? But with my children, I think you know, Obi, that I have open conversations with my kids, and you know, you probably followed me enough to know that. But
Yeah.
I don't exactly I don't exploit their privacy, so I won't say like what they say or anything that they're not comfortable with. So I keep it open to that. Well, my kids are very vocal about things. My daughter's a huge advocate; she's in the gay community, and then my son's lately become, you know, more of an advocate for things as well. But for us, here's the balance that I've seen is COVID really started even more conversations for us because what happened was we had so much time. And so it was like more time to talk about Black Lives Matter than if we would have been going, if they would have been going to school when this movement happened. We'd have been busy. There'd been all this stuff going on. I wouldn't have been able to talk to them as much as when we were sitting here and it's like, well, we have the time to talk. We're going to do those talks and get those out of the way. What I did was a balance, and I hope it works because you don't know until they're later in life if you fucked them up or not. Right now, I have really good kids. But what I did growing up was a balance of, like, I remember one lady one time told me, don't let your kids cry. So I was like, okay, well, during my divorce, I ran into the bathroom and I started crying and like hid it all the time, right? And then later, a woman said to me, no, we don't do that. Let your kid know what that you're feeling this because it hurts so that if they go through something, they know it's okay to cry, but then they also see you rise from that. So I started crying in front of my son once, something with his dad, because he was always, anyway, something happened. And he came to me and he said, Mama, why are you crying? And I was like, between the two devils of these women, don't talk about it, hide it, or talk about it. You know, do I break his innocence and say that divorces are hard and love might not last and you see what it looks like and it hurts you? Or do I think you still believe in a fairy tale? So I was like, well, Mama's sad. So in order for me not to have anything, you know, that gets stuck down in there, I'm going to let it out. And this is a good way, you know, sometimes you get frustrated, you cry. And he said, okay, yeah, no, I know, Mama, because we're very similar. And he said, but you're going to be good like you always are, right? And I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, I always hear you cry in the bathroom and then you come out and you are normal and you're happy with us. And I was like, so they know anyway. There's a thing that kids have an intuition anyway. So when we think that we're protecting them from a lot of stuff, there's a balance of giving them the information, but telling them the world can still be a really beautiful place. So when I have a conversation with my kids, I say, the world is really can be scary and some shit can happen to you. And you know Mama's history because they've read my book. They know what I have a book out and I have another one coming out. So they know, I mean, it's out there.
Yeah.
They know what I've been through. And so it's scary, but look at what Mama's been able to do, travel all these places and, or the things that I've had in my life. Like if I died tomorrow, like my kids ask me, if you died tomorrow, like, did you do everything you wanted to do? And I'm like, I didn't do everything I wanted to do, but I did most of what I wanted to do. I did, and already. And so it can be a beautiful place too. So if you have the
Because I didn't. Yeah,
tell both, it's beautiful, life is scary, but you can also have a beautiful life too. If you're having the open conversation, but also letting them know at the same time, you can stay innocent right now. You don't have, like, I'm going to tell you what to look out for, you know, in the world, but that doesn't mean you have to be fearful of it every single day of your life. So my motto around here is teaching my kids not to be driven by fear.